All right, so if we turn off our drawings now. Okay, we have a very rough sort of bouncing ball that we got to very quickly. Now the other thing we wanted was this idea that he sort of comes to a stop. But before we do that, we really should decide, do we want to add any rotation to this ball? I think it would be good to add it. Where's my drawing? Come back. Oops, I just erased them. Drat! Our plan was erased. But we can still go off of what we have, and we'll just add some rotation to it. Now, the ball will rotate each time it hits the ground. That's the time where it gets a certain amount of energy to do a certain amount of rotation, okay? It's not going to speed up in the air. It's not going to slow down in the air. Once it's in the air, it's going to maintain a constant rate of rotation, okay? So what we really want to do is say, well, from 3 to 15, how much does it rotate? And I'm just going to make it easy on myself and say, like 360 degrees, just because it's a nice even number. Although I don't see it rotating. Did I forget to set a key? Let me check in the graph editor. Sometimes you can see what, oh, that's why. Because there were other keyframes in our way. That's why. So sometimes it helps to go into the graph editor and see what's going on when you expect it to do something and it doesn't. So in this particular case, I can see I don't need those extra keyframes on the rotation. I don't need those in the middle because, again, from 3 to 15, it's going to rotate at a constant rate of speed. Or at least once it gets going, it's going to. But let's try it. Let's just start with this being linear. Linear means it's a constant movement, right? You guys understand that, right? So see, so that's a constant rotation from the moment it touches the ground to the moment it moves ahead. Now after that, where does it touch the ground again? 21. So it goes from 16 to 21. So this would be our next move. Oh, actually not 16, it's that other frame that we run. So these three need to go. And now we're going to do another rotation. And you want it to keep going in the same direction. So it's going to keep going up. But let's say it's losing energy. That's believable. It's losing energy. So it's not going to have as steep a slope as the one we just came off of. So I'm just going to reduce it a little bit. And again, I'm going to put it to linear. So what happens here at this little cusp is an energy change. And this change in energy is going to reduce the amount of roll that this thing has. And then we go from 21 to 25, right? So these both get to go out of the way. And this comes up here. And once again, we're going to take this opportunity to reduce the amount of slope that's on the ball. Okay, so it's actually slowing down in its rotation and in its translation as it comes through. So let's see how that looks. Not bad. Now, I think maybe it reduces a little quickly as far as the rotation goes. We can probably amp this up more. It's still reducing. It's just not reducing quite so quickly as we did. Okay. Okay, so that's a decent starting point. Now, one of the things that we had talked about, oh, I forgot about this other one. Okay, we need another bouncer. So this needs another little bit of roll. And then what we want, so the ball hits the ground, it stopped bouncing but that doesn't mean it stopped rolling. So how long do we want it to roll for? Well, how long do we want it to slide for? That's kind of the question. Let's just say 8 frames to start with. I know we said 2 frames before. I'm changing my idea. Changing it on the fly. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to plan these things. But I'm doing it. All right. And along with that rotation, we're going to need a translation. If you don't have a translation, it's going to seem to slip, right? Which is something you guys are already discovering on your own. So then you just have to basically eyeball it and say, well, how much movement is really going to give me what I need? Oh, that's pretty good. Well, except that he kind of slides and rolls to a stop, which actually is not such a bad idea, because he did have a little bit of residual energy after that hop. So the idea that he does continue to slide implies he's got a little bit of extra energy that doesn't dissipate right away. Let me stretch this out a bit. I'll give him another 4 frames and see what that does. Okay, by having it roll in one direction and just come to a stop, it's a little bit ordinary. It'd be kind of nice to give it just one last little bit of life and have it roll back the other way. And along with the roll, you need the translation. And I went too far, so put it back up there. No, I didn't go far enough. Okay, now what's happening here, there's a little jump, and the reason there's a little jump is because the computer has stepped in and given us a bad keyframe. See, this is what the computer likes to do, and this is why it's very important for you to clean up your curves after you have gotten your animation to a point where you think it's pretty good. Okay, so again, using that key that I developed, I just hit the key and then I hit this, which is flatten tangents, and that helps to make everything flow very nicely from one into the other. It got rid of that little overshoot that the computer was giving me. Now you can look too at some of these other moments here. This is a little bit abrupt here. You know, this could be cleaned up a little nicer. Maybe what it wants is to be angled down like that. But see, you don't want this overshoot. Overshoots are things that I prefer to define myself. So I don't want the computer to give me one unless I ask for it. All right, so now even that last little roll there seems a little bit out of place. Maybe it needs one more tiny little adjust back in the other direction. Just that little bit of life. So it's going to seem to wobble. And what you might do, just to cap it all, you might create what we call a moving hold. And really, this is just to give it that little extra something so that it can seem to come to rest. And all it is, it's a very small change. Very, very, very small. And all it's intended to do is to keep the pixels dancing just a little bit longer. You're really not going to perceive the movement, but what you will perceive is that it doesn't just outright die on you. You know, it doesn't just suddenly go completely still, because just this little bit of movement will keep the pixels dancing. And if it's too noticeable, then we'll just tone it down. You know, if it's more than pixels dancing, we'll just tone it down. So did you see that overshoot there? There was another overshoot. I just corrected. Got rid of it. All right. Yeah, now see, that's too fast. He comes to rest too fast. And the reason I say that, the reason I say it comes to rest too fast, is because it has a fair amount of energy behind it when it starts. And I'm trying to show that this energy has dissipated, but this little move through here, he's going quite a long ways, and he stops really, really abruptly there. So what can we do? And I'm throwing this question out to you guys. How can we modify the animation to make it feel like he's dissipating the energy properly?
Stretch it out a bit.
Stretch out what?
I guess like the height.
You mean literally stretch the ball?
Yeah, like
Or,
a little bit.
Um,
Like
I suppose we could do.
at the abrupt stop, like you could stretch it out a bit to make it seem like he's really trying to force himself to stay there, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. So here's his abrupt stop. Right, right there. Let's give the stretch. So frame 39. We're going to set a key. We're going to set a key before that too. Let's set it at frame 37. Let's see what happens. Ooh, I really wish my computer wouldn't do this. That might be too much. Let's bring it down a bit. All right, so then we need to, of course, go in there and make sure that the surface, the ball stays on the surface. So I'm going to have to translate that up. Let's go here, set a keyframe, go here, set a keyframe. So we're just translating that up so that it always seems to be sitting on the same surface. It's a little tricky to do that. Let's zoom in here. That's a little better. It's really splitting hairs, but it really will feel different if you don't get it right on. That's pretty good. Okay, then this one. I dislike tiny movements. There we go. Okay. So here we've got our and so what we're going to do, or what your proposal was to let that stretch absorb some of the energy, right? And so he'll stretch out and then he'll roll back into his normal shape. Now the trick here really would be that that stretch has to take a certain amount of time to feel right. And so where would we begin it? Let me get the stretch here. Squash stretch. There we go. So what I would say, I'd use these as our keyframes for the squash and stretch, and just say that it's going to move pretty quickly, and then it's going to ease into the final pose there. And that will require us to move this up again. All right, and then he's going to return back to his normal shape. That's going to be a very important part of this. The idea that he's gone elastic, but all that energy has been used up, and now he's going to return back to his normal shape. And then he's just going to continue to roll. Now to make it